This is CBC Vancouver News.
She didn't deserve this. She was only 15 and she had huge plans for her life.
What happened to Carson Seaweed? The family of the Indigenous teenager on Vancouver Island demands answers after she's found under a wooden pallet and dies.
我想問下點解我你又咁反對105 Kiefer 咧？
因為佢哋嗰啲有錢人都唔知道我哋啲低下層人嘅生活嘅艱苦。
A nearly 10-year fight over a building in Vancouver's Chinatown is heating up again.
You know, in order for us to support the seniors, support the social services, support everything, we need a healthy and economically vibrant neighborhood.
And morning moose. A big animal brings traffic to a halt in Prince George. Good evening, I'm Dan Burritt. Thanks for joining us. The family of a 15-year-old Indigenous teenager wants to know why she died after being found off the side of a highway on Mother's Day on Vancouver Island. Investigators now say, well, the circumstances surrounding her death are considered suspicious. They have ruled out homicide. Carson Mackenzie Seaweed from the Namgis Nation and the Cowichan tribes traveled to Duncan with her mom, Marie, for Mother's Day almost 2 weeks ago. They were in town for a soccer tournament. Carson told her mom she planned to bus home to Mill Bay and left, but later phoned back saying she changed her mind. Marie became worried when Carson stopped answering her phone. She drove around town for several hours looking for her daughter. The next day, after Mother's Day, Marie saw posts on social media saying a body had been found in the area. She later learned it was Carson. She was discovered alive behind a hotel just off the Trans-Canada Highway, but very weak. The man who found her told her mom her skin was hot to the touch and she appeared to suffer a seizure. The man also told Marie that Carson was under a wood pallet covered in garbage and twigs. Paramedics tried to save her, but she died. And RCMP says investigators are satisfied her death is not a killing, but the circumstances surrounding it are considered suspicious and a criminal probe is still on. Her family says that is not good enough.
She had a beautiful smile. She had these big, beautiful dimples. She loved all her siblings. She was smart. She was very independent. She always told me that I was her best friend. She loved her little cousin. She was a natural caretaker. She loved children. We just want answers because she didn't deserve this. She was only 15 and she had huge plans for her life.
A rally is now being planned for tomorrow morning outside the North Cowichan Duncan RCMP detachment. The coroner is also looking into Carson's death. A nearly decade-old fight is heating up again in Vancouver's Chinatown. A development proposal on Kiefer Street is being resubmitted after a Supreme Court ruling told the city to reconsider. Leanne Young went to a rally this afternoon and explains that while the fight may seem familiar, some of the players have changed sides.
So it goes, beady, beady, you can't hide. We can see your greedy eyes.
That was just a taste of the sentiment here at this rally. Hundreds of people are in behind me, and they're gathered here all because of the proposal around this lot, 105 Kiefer Street, owned by BD Development. What the developers want to see is a 9-story building here with 111 condo units, mixed use, some commercial on the lower floor. But people here say it doesn't fit with their vision of Chinatown, and we can see a clear generational divide. Many of the people gathered here seniors, and they've been in this fight for nearly a decade. I had a chance to sit down with some of them this afternoon.
咁我想問下點解婆婆你又咁反對105 Kiefer 咧？因為佢哋嗰啲有錢人都唔知道我哋啲低下層人嘅生活嘅艱苦，佢只知道賺錢，所以我唔係話反對佢起，就唔好起豪宅，又要俾一部分。 譬如你一層有一座樓有10幾層嚇，咁你唔好起得咁豪華啊！中等人階級可以住，咁低下層嘅又可以俾2、3層俾政府，俾啲低下層嘅人住。喺個樓就住咗幾耐？
我喺呢單樓住咗20幾年啦。
哇，20幾年啦！
我好似97年喺度住嘅。
咁你喺唐街歷史幾耐咧？
我68年移民嚟嘅，嗰陣時好年輕，但係戇居居走嚟呢度。嗰陣時加拿大非常之好，但係而家咧，我覺得生活非常之困難。
我想問下你點解你咁反對105 Kiefer 街呢個 building 咧？
即係唔係話淨係我反對，而係我哋嘅需要，我哋嘅要求。而且你政府應該起多啲樓出嚟，呢幾年你政府根本上都冇起咩housing出嚟俾我啲人。以前就有啲啦，係咪？而家你呢幾年有咩housing起出嚟咧？你政府得個噏住，得個講住。
嗰座樓應該係點樣嘅咧？你覺得如果係點樣，你先會覺得係
我即係
接受咧？
你睇佢四周圍嘅環境啊，即係我希望佢起咧有多少咧中國式。我希望佢尊重下唐人街啊，尊重下舊陣時嗰啲先人啦，佢付出嗰啲血汗啊，係嘛？咁咧就即係有啲紀念性啦，即係等佢喺下邊安心嚇。多謝你。Thank you,
That passion that we just heard, I think, really encapsulates this fight here in Chinatown. And there's such a diversity of opinions. The seniors telling us that they're not afraid of change, they're not afraid of development, but they feel that this proposal, this 105 Kiefer, is lacking a space for them, people on low incomes. But of course, the opinions are diverse here in Chinatown. We're going to go next to the Dr. Sun Yat-sen Garden. We're going to go talk to the executive director who thinks that this is the right step for Chinatown. So Lorraine, tell me, why are you in support of 105 Kiefer? This development's going to be right here, right next to your place of work, right next to the gardens.
Right next to the gardens. And I think it's going to be a welcome addition to the neighborhood now. I think so much has changed since 2017. I mean, the whole landscape of the whole neighborhood. And I think it's time that we need to support economic revitalization and still have a balance with cultural heritage.
Because for you, it's about economic revitalization.
I think it's, yeah, there's a bigger picture here. And, you know, in order for us to support the seniors, support the social services, support everything, we need a healthy and economically vibrant neighborhood to do that. We need people coming back down here. And I think that's really going to help us.
Like any community, there are varying opinions around what should happen. People are gathered here today over 105 Kiefer Street, but really the tension here is about the future of Chinatown. And as far as it comes to this plot of land, we'll find out which way the city leans on Monday when it heads back to the Development Permit Board.
Leanne Young reporting from Chinatown. To health news now. Nurses from northern BC's largest hospital are warning of a breaking point with long waits in the ER and patients lined up in hallways waiting for care.
I had my own grandson here a few weeks ago and it took us an hour. We waited outside this emergency room with just a security guard telling people to line up if they needed to see a doctor, an hour to get to a triage nurse. So I don't know when a hospital's that backed up, what will happen in a state of emergency.
Members of the BC Nurses Union held a rally in Prince George today. They're trying to draw attention to what they say is a crisis for both patients and healthcare workers. The union claims the hospital is regularly operating at up to 125% capacity, with the ICU overloaded with patients and patients receiving care in overflow spaces. BC's Health Ministry says it has committed more than $1 million to help fund a nursing degree program in Fort St. John and is working toward adopting a nurse-to-patient ratio to improve workload standards. Well, years after it was first promised, the BC government says it is preparing to build a new cancer care centre in Kamloops, the same one pledged years ago by former Premier John Horgan. It will be built at Royal Inland Hospital, so patients in the Thompson Caribou will no longer need to go to Kelowna to get radiation treatment. The exact cost of the centre, though, is not yet clear, but it's estimated between $200 and $300 million. That will be confirmed in a business plan expected later this year.
We need to distribute cancer care service around the province. It's why we're building and in the process of building 4 new cancer centers here in Kamloops and in 3 other communities to provide care closer to home and to meet the significant increased demand for care that we see.
Along with radiation services, Dix says the new centre will include upgrades to the existing oncology network site to accommodate more patients with more treatment and exam spaces and a modernized pharmacy. He estimates the building could open by 2027. A first-of-its-kind program in Canada is now operating out of Richmond Hospital to help people living with brain injuries linked to substance use, including opioids and alcohol. The Cognitive Assessment and Rehabilitation for Substance Use program is run by Vancouver Coastal Health. It teaches people living with brain injury and their caregivers how to balance needs and limitations and provide them with rehab and reintegration support.
Our team is staffed by a multidisciplinary group, occupational therapists, neuropsychology, social work, addiction psychiatry, and other support members on the team. So working together, we actually help the individuals identify their own goals.
People living in the Coastal Health region can get into the program by speaking with their healthcare provider, if they have one, or self-referring by calling the Richmond Hospital Centre intake line. A new report from the BC Centre for Disease Control suggests nutritious diets are unaffordable for many families and individuals living on low incomes. The findings show the average monthly cost of a nutritious diet for a family of 4 in May and June of last year was over $1,200 a month. The report shows many who live on low incomes cannot afford nutritious food after they pay their rent, and nearly 15% of people in BC, 732,000, struggle to put food on the table. This is a growing concern for doctors. Babies, children, and youth can experience an increased risk of anemia, asthma, and hospitalization, as well as having poor grades in school and social skills. Adults can see higher rates of diabetes, heart disease, and depression.
It's sky high, right? Everybody knows that.
Well, I just price compare more now. So I'll go from place to place.
And I take longer than I normally would to make a decision, I guess is what it is. But I'm going to buy what I'm going to buy.
Like a lot more rice and beans these days.
And we find that the costs are usually lower at stores that aren't huge chains.
It's so expensive. Like buying a piece of steak today, it's outrageous.
The CDC will release more details looking at prices in rural, remote, and Indigenous communities. The special addendum will be released later this year. Grab your pedals and warm up your bike helmets, I should say. The BC government is making it cheaper for you to buy an electric bike. Starting June 1st, e-bikes costing more than $2,000 before tax will be eligible for rebates ranging from $350 to $1,400 depending on your income. And unlike past programs, you don't have to trade in an old ride. Only bikes bought from participating retailers will be eligible for those rebates. A list of the retailers will be posted next week. You could soon see some new Coast Guard vessels in BC waters. Ottawa has committed $2.5 billion to build new various small ships and boats, including those for science, enforcement, and search and rescue. The federal government says it means the Coast Guard will be able to better operate in shallow coastal waters and inland lakes and rivers where the big ships can't go.
Today's announcement is essential for the Canadian Coast Guard to do the heroic work that they do to help protect Canada's oceans and coasts and to keep Canadians safe.
61 vessels will be built, including small craft, barges, and some workboats. Canada's smaller shipyards will be able to bid on the building of the vessels. From the sea to the air, sort of. A ground stop ordered for all Air Canada and Rouge flights in the U.S. earlier this morning has now been lifted. The precautionary ground stop lasted about an hour and led to some flight delays. The U.S. Aviation Agency, which ordered it, says the request came from the airline. In a statement, Air Canada called it a temporary technical issue with a system that communicates with the aircraft. A federal government source tells CBC News there was no reason to believe this was a cybersecurity incident. Only in Canada, morning traffic in Prince George came to a standstill a few days ago when a young moose tried to cross a busy highway. Let's take a look, shall we? A motorist caught the animal trying to get over a barrier to reach the other side of the road last week. The calf was being guided by an adult moose who was trying to make sure the little one was safe. Another driver, as you can see, was a bit unsuccessful trying to intervene. Eventually, both animals turned around and walked off the highway, thankfully.
I got 2 job offers the next day when I got this professional suit.
With inflation and immigration high, a Vancouver charity is helping outfit people trying to find work. Details after this. And hello to everyone watching our commercial-free live stream. Good to have you. A Saskatoon designer is heading to Fiji for its 16th annual Fashion Week. She is the first Indigenous designer from Canada to take part in the event and will bring along an all-female Indigenous team of models and stylists. We caught up with her to hear more about her journey from Saskatchewan to the South Pacific.
And your arms go through the big ones, yeah.
Beadwork traditionally is worn with regalias and ceremonial wear, and I just think it's so cool to explore and experiment and share it in another beautiful way.
This wraps around your ear.
I feel like I'm growing as an artist. I'm pushing myself each collection to do bigger, better pieces. Like, how can I take beadwork and showcase it in like a new, exciting way? This collection has like really deep meaning for me. Each color represents something, and I'm just trying to incorporate it all together. My sister passed away, so the red, that's what the red is for. The black is for my grief, and the white is for like my healing. And I just want to incorporate that all together and create a powerful collection that just showcases our beauty and our culture and the strength of women and empowering women, and I guess heal from what our family's been through. And I'm doing that through my work. And we always say that beading is a form of healing. It's a form of praying. It teaches us things that, you know, you just can't learn any other way other than doing.
Does it feel tight? No. Or a little tighter?
A little tighter. Going to Fiji is such an amazing opportunity, and I'm so grateful that Helen asked me to be a part of it. And for her, like, this is a big accomplishment in her like designer career and being a designer, and to be a part of that, it's very like incredible, and I'm so grateful.
It's overseas. It's, you know, it's on the other side of the world, so it's a whole new networking group of people to meet. They also hold a lot of workshops leading up to the event, which are really geared towards like building a brand, business. I'm sure I'm going to meet people there that don't know anything about Indigenous culture or people. So the exciting thing is being able to incorporate that into my work and sharing that through my work. In a really fun, upbeat way. Our work can sometimes be taken and put on runways in inappropriate ways that, you know, can be disrespectful. So I think with me exploring different ways to share my beadwork, I'm hoping I can teach people to that it can be shared appropriately if you are willing to learn.
A Vancouver charity is helping people in need get back to work. Working Gear offers free safety equipment and office attire. And as the CBC's Dan Burritt shows us, the charity is seeing growing demand amid inflation and more newcomers coming to Canada.
Working Gear, a nonprofit in Vancouver's downtown east side, is helping people get back into the workforce. It's like a community shop. Clients can take gear such as safety vests, clothes for an interview, and even get a haircut for free.
There's so many barriers to people getting back to work, and one of the easiest ones to solve is by providing the safety equipment and providing the clothing. I think it's really important now as we see a lot more people are struggling economically.
She says Working Gear is getting busier. Last year they supported around 1,200 clients. As of May, they've helped more than 800.
The clients that are coming in are newcomers from Ukraine, and they're just trying to rebuild their lives here. We have other demographics that are always kind of steady, like kids aging out of foster care, people that might have had like mental health crises or are exiting out of the criminal justice system.
Andre arrived in Canada 2 months ago as a Ukrainian refugee.
I got 2 job offers the next day when I get this professional suit. So Working Gear helped me a lot, and I'd like to dedicate my own time, my efforts, and to give back.
This couple is also from Ukraine. Andrei was a professional massage therapist and Katerina a makeup artist for films and shows. Now they volunteer, organize clothes, help others, and continue to look for work.
For us, it's like a family. The weekend without clothes, or without money, without friends, without family, you know.
The team hopes to expand their services as their community and demand for gear grows. Benit Brach, CBC News, Vancouver.
Well, it is that time of the week. Lisa Christensen is here to help you set up your weekend social calendar. This time she's got an event that will get you inside some places you normally wouldn't go. Have a look.
Hi, I'm Lisa Christensen, and this is Getting Out, your weekly look at events in the Lower Mainland worth getting out for. And today, we're going to start in New West. There's a big tour coming up this weekend, and this is when people are invited to come and see the beautiful heritage homes of New Westminster, outside, inside, and we're in one right now, and this is your house.
Yes, that's correct. Built in 1910, and it has been restored by myself. I've been here since '79. These two gentlemen right here are living in two homes that I moved onto the back half of our property, which fronts on Manitoba Street, or did.
And one of them is you brought in from Vancouver, and one is from New West.
That's correct, yes.
That's right. And so which one do you live in?
I live in the New West one, so
Okay.
formerly at 217 St. Patrick's Street. Me and my wife had always dreamed of in New West. We'd always cherished the heritage aspects of Queen's Park, and just were honored and privileged that Steve decided to do this with his property.
Yeah, it's just a real privilege, and a daily thing I appreciate, living in an area that's just soaked in heritage and history.
Tell me a little bit more about the tour. How can you get involved in it?
Well, there are tickets online, and you can look up the association, New Westminster Heritage Association. You get a program, self-guided tour, you drive around to the houses listed. They check you in, you look at the house, and you move on. It's like that.
Also in New West, the Hayak International Parade and Festival in the park is the province's largest family-oriented multicultural parade with over 100 entries from throughout the Pacific Northwest. It takes place at Tipperary Park on Saturday from 11 till 4. Surrey Spark Stage's Family Weekend runs from May 26th to the 28th at the Surrey Arts Centre. Experience amazing performances from South Korea, Denmark, Australia, Quebec, and BC. On Friday night, you can go dancing with the kids. DJ Naditi Cascade and Latin pop, friendly pop, hip hop, Afrobeats. It's all in Surrey at the Arts Centre lobby at 7:30. In partnership with Kickstart Disability Arts and Culture Access Fest and the Vancouver Art Gallery, there's an accessible tour designed to welcome the disabled community during Access Awareness Week. The Access Tour will provide an opportunity to explore worlds featured in the exhibitions of Sherry Boyle outside of the Palace of Me and Hard Edge. It takes place on Tuesday, May 30th. And that's it for Getting Out this week, so don't forget to get out, like getting out to the New West Homes Tour. I'm gonna go and finish mine.
There's a live shot of the Port of Vancouver. If you like sun, temperatures in and around 20 degrees, you're probably gonna like this. Ethan Williams will have your BC-wide weather forecast right after this.
It takes a lot of truck to transport the biggest automobile ever built in Canada. This cherished piece of Canadian history is heading to Vancouver Island for a homecoming of sorts. The trip will carry this famous 3-ton vehicle up the Island Highway. The 1939 McLaughlin Buick is best known as the car that carried the Prince of Wales and Lady Diana around BC Place at the opening ceremonies of Expo 86. But it first carried Prince Charles' grandparents, King George VI and the Queen Mother, on their cross-Canada tour 53 years ago. In 1940, the Royal Tour car was purchased by Mrs. Helen Ross Palmer, part of the Huntley Palmer Biscuit Company family. She brought the car to her summer estate on Comox Hill, where it entered everyday life as part of the local lore in the Comox Valley. This old film shows some of the 17 consecutive Bay Queens and their princesses who were transported in the annual Cumberland Empire Day parades throughout the 1940s and 1950s in the old Buick that was driven regularly by Helen Ross Palmer.
Are they okay? Is it right there?
Now the car has been brought back to Comox by a committee trying to purchase it from owner Vern Bethel, along with his extensive Royal Tour memorabilia collection. The car is fondly remembered by retired garage owner Bob Ash Sr.
Well, I remember when Mrs. Palmer used to bring it over to my service station to be worked on, and it was always well looked after by her, and I drove it occasionally, but never in a parade. But it was very well built, and she always took good care of it.
The car is elevated to royal coach status in time for a visit from royalty imitator Carolyn Sadowska.
Have you checked for bombs?
Yes.
Oh, splendid. So important, isn't it, these days? Will we be opening a dockyard or something this morning?
It is a May parade in the grand tradition of the town of Cumberland that has been putting them on for more than a century. Let's Bring It Home is the wish of the fundraising committee, which wants future May Queens to be carried in royal style.
I could almost get a tear in my eye when I think about the old parades in Cumberland for year after year after year, and the war years, and that car was here, and you know, basically I think it's part of Cumberland as much as anywhere else.
What's your thoughts on seeing it today in the 104th parade?
Just tremendous.
You were the princess, and you were the May Queen.
Yes.
1945.
Yes.
What was it like to ride in this car as the May Queen?
Oh, it was nice. I felt like a royalty. Yeah.
Do you think, looking on this car now, that it's important to bring it back to the Comox Valley?
It would be nice.
Yes. Yeah, I think it would be great to have, you know, there's so few things that are old.
So far, the town of Cumberland is the only Comox Valley municipality to donate to the fund to bring the Royal Tour car home. But local people and businesses have already raised half the $250,000 price tag. Alan Edwards, CBC News, Cumberland.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and here's what's in your CBC Vancouver inbox.
On June 13th, join CBC's Rudy Kelly at the Alumni UBC's free webinar with Dr. Jeanette Armstrong on revitalizing Indigenous language. Register at alumni.ubc.ca and register for the CBC's Indigenous Pathways to Journalism program. This paid 9-month learning and development opportunity supports Indigenous candidates to hone their skills as storytellers. Learn more at cbc.ca/pathways.
Just before we get to our weather, severe heat gripped parts of India this week, so zoos have made arrangements to keep their residents coping with the scorching weather. This elephant in Delhi enjoyed being sprayed with the hose, while the hippos at another zoo cooled off at the nearest pond. White tigers also got a chance to take a dip. Tigers do love to swim, fun fact, as temperatures in parts of the region hit 45 degrees.
The weather update is brought to you by Direct Buy Furnace, installing the most reliable heating and cooling brand. It's hard to stop a train.
Johanna Wagstaff is away tonight, so Ethan Williams is here with our BC-wide weather forecast and another decent day, Ethan.
Well, a nice seasonal day across the province today. Temperatures around 20 degrees in a lot of portions of BC, including out on the island, even up in far northern sections too. And we can expect that seasonal air over the next few days. Our jet stream really not doing too much in the upper atmosphere. We're looking for kind of zonal flow. This is where the jet stream just kind of runs from west to east, making our temperatures pretty much the same and not too much happening in our weather. And that's the same at the surface level as well. We've seen some showers in portions of southern BC today, and I think overnight tonight we're going to be seeing those diminishing. A pretty clear night. Northern coastal regions could see a little bit of rain as the system begins to move onshore overnight tonight. That will start to diminish as it moves eastward through the north tomorrow. Again, portions of the Kootenays and the Okanagan region and just east of the lower mainland, we could be seeing some showers and thunderstorms, non-severe in nature tomorrow afternoon. And again, that'll likely be the case on Saturday. Another system moving toward the north coast as we head into Saturday. But tomorrow, looking very nice in terms of our temperatures through the province into the upper 20s in portions of the Okanagan. A little bit showery on the coast around Prince Rupert, but for Metro Vancouver and much of the lower mainland, we're looking for temperatures right around 20 degrees, just above seasonal for this time of year. A little bit of a humid X factor tomorrow, but mostly sunny conditions. We're saying goodbye to the rain for now, and overnight lows pretty nice as well. So overall, very seasonal and very nice over this next week.
Thanks, Ethan. And that's your late news for Thursday. Thanks for joining us. For news any hour, check our website, cbc.ca/BC. Your next local news is on the early edition on CBC Radio 1. That starts tomorrow morning at 5:30. Have a good night.